Welcome to the Top 10 Garden Show with Ken Lain. Listen to Ken's tips, tricks, and garden shortcuts guaranteed to make your gardens more beautiful than ever this year. Now welcome your host, Ken Lain.
So June, we're well into it. So we're a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks away from summer, whenever that is, and it's perfect. And so this is, everyone thinks that we have 4 seasons here in the mountains of Arizona. Really, we have 6. And I define them a little differently. As a gardener, I'm thinking of spring, summer, fall, winter. Okay, those 4 are no-brainers. You got your lilacs in spring, your Rosa Sharon, the crepe myrtles in the summer, you got your fall-colored maples and aspens, you got your winter evergreens, spruce, pine, fir, cypress, cedars. But then in addition, I define early spring. So early spring for the mountains, it can be very nice, but it's still going to snow and be kind of frosty. There are some plants that love that early spring season. Spring, that would be things like pansies and violas and your early vegetables like lettuce, broccoli, cauliflower, your early spring bloomers like forsythias, flowering quince, winter blooming jasmines, camellias. These are all things that are early spring. And garden centers have these things available for planting then. They don't have them later. I don't have any of those right now, or I have 1 or 2 left. Spring season, the peak planting. That's when most people are used to a garden center. That's when your tomatoes and your flower gardens, your geraniums go in. That's when a lot of the flowering trees like crab apples and red buds, they all go in then. That's the most popular season. Now we're going into summer's a couple weeks away, and that's all the summer things that love the heat. So some things were real late to leaf out. You notice your desert willows. That's a summer plant. It doesn't like spring, has no interest in spring. It's waiting till the soil is warm enough, and then it starts to leaf out, and then it blooms. A chaste tree, smoke bush, all your agaves, bear grass, your summer, a lot of the xeriscape or native stuff. These are all summer. They love the heat. They're like lizards. They want to roll up, they want to climb up on a rock and just warm up. They don't want to be shivering in the cold. They don't have an interest in spring. They like the summer. Fall color, that's October. Your aspens go into bloom, into not bloom. They look like a bloom, but this beautiful gold, aspen, Populus tremuloides, that trembling leaf poplar with that gold color. It's magical. I mean, it's uniquely Arizonan or Rocky Mountain West. It's us. I mean, that's us. You can find them wild. Aspen Creek you could walk there from the garden center right here in Prescott. So aspens are very common. Winter, we've got some of the largest evergreen forests, whether it's pine trees, junipers, or whatever, right here. I mean, every landscape needs to be anchored in evergreens. So I just gave you 5 seasons. So early spring, summer, fall, winter. But then there's June. June is a unique month. I define June as perennial month. We've had perennials since the beginning of the year. I mean, from little tiny starts, some of your early spring bloomers, daffodils, and your blanket flowers, some of these things, and they were pretty, but the prettiest flowers are now. And so now you're getting all your echinaceas and gaillardias and pincushion flowers and Shasta daisies. The list goes on and on. The daylilies finally are starting to show bloom. These are things that look best in June. I had most of those at the garden center back in March and April and May, but they were just green. They weren't in bloom. The reason June is perennial month. Remember, perennials and permanent. So you plant them once and they're done. So perennial and permanent are those things that come back year after year after year and better. So I prefer perennials mostly. I've got quite a few annuals, but I'll anchor it with a perennial and then accessorize, put the frosting with my annual flowers. So perennials are those that they just come back. So there's a lot of choices, and we are in natural perennial country here. They just love the elevation of Arizona. They love growing at this altitude. And so all the plants your grandmother grew, they probably grow here too. And you can get them year round mostly, but right now they're all in bloom. So you'd have to look at that little tiny tag and try to imagine what it will look like in June. You're in here shopping the first couple weeks in March. Okay, they're just starting to emerge from the bucket. You're basically buying a root ball, and then they're growing up like peonies. I sell hundreds of peony, but they're always in root balls. So they're coming, they're in bloom. They're in bloom right now. And so, but you got to envision some. Well, in June, you don't have to envision anything. They're just all in bloom. It's super. I mean, had the most beautiful, big, glorious Denver Shasta daisy. This is the perfect, a kind of preferred daisy. It's a white flower with a dark center. It's just an easy going, full sun, takes our wind, takes our sun, takes our crummy earth, and blooms and blooms and blooms. It's hard out. Well, earlier I had Shasta daisies. They were just green, but when they're covered, the whole top of it's covered in white flowers. That's an inspiration. That's why June is perennial month, especially for things that maybe are the summer bloomers. So I just had a new blue Shasta, not blue Shasta. What was that? Gregory, sorry, Salvia gregii, autumn sage. There you go. Latin go through my head. I got to convert for you over the airwaves to English. So autumn sage. The most famous is red. And then the new one came out called lipstick. It's a white flower with red. Looked like fairies took lipstick and painted on every single flower. It's a little bush about 3 feet knee high, kind of knee wide, nice ball shaped. Hummingbirds love it. But there's a new blue one that came out. There's actually 2 new purple ones that came out. This is a great plant. Loves the sun, loves the wind, takes our soil. The animals, javelina, aren't going to bother them. Deer are not going to, they're going to bypass them. It's a great little plant for here. And there's some new colors coming out. Well, now's when you see the new colors. Earlier, we just had red and there weren't really very many flowers on it, but now they're all covered and you can see what it looks like. So on and on. So your cannas. Cannas are, you California folks, you love your tall, big, lush, tropical looking perennials. Cannas are it. They do surprisingly well here, except for the wind. So you need to maybe stake them, or you put it in an area where they've got a corner where they're protected from the wind, or you just put a bamboo stake on them. They'll be fine. Yeah, but they take our crummy soil. They don't mind heavy, thick, gooey, gross soil. Cannas love that. That's why they make pond plants every once in a while. You can put them in that shallow area, the bog area. If you're into ponds, you know what that area is, that 1 foot and lower wet part of the pond. You can put those in there and they thrive. They just do great. It's also when you see a lot of the big, bold herbs. So your bigger rosemaries, your bigger lavenders, the big showy specimens show up now. And so you get more choices when it comes to perennial flowers in the month of June. And that'll happen. That'll go through, we've got a rotation of through July, basically. And then we start to try to have less choices of daylilies because I don't want to carry it out through winter. So I've got this whole new, it's starting late summer and autumn, the new seed catalogs and plug catalogs come out, and we're going, oh, we could grow this, we could grow that, we could grow that. Let's try some of these. And so we start planning for spring of the following season. And so we want to be out of these, plan for these, plug them, and then have them come online the following spring. There's a cycle. There's ebb and flow that you have with perennial flowers. Perennials are also, here's something to watch. Did you know perennials are more expensive? There you go. You just learned it. But do you know why? Perennials need to be 2 years old before they're old enough to actually bloom. So if you see it, so perennials, annuals, those plants that bloom out this year and then they die in the winter, that's typically a 6-week crop. That's why the box stores mainly sell, kind of only sell annuals, because it's a fast turn. They just grow them and blow them and get them out of here. And they're cheaper because they just grow. So they go in the greenhouse so fast. Perennials, you got to commit. I've got some 5-year-old perennials. They've been at the farm for 5 years, maintaining them, caring for them, deadheading them, trimming them back. And finally they made it to the garden center. So they're going to be more expensive because you've got more time, and they're typically bigger because the root balls have to be a certain size and a certain maturity before they're old enough to bloom. And yes, I could sell cheaper ones here at Waters Garden Center, but that's not why people shop here. People shop here at our place for inspiration. They want to pay a little bit more for a lot more plant. So we're trying to deliver that. That's the reason perennials, they're at the farm for minimum 2 years, if not more. And so you got more time involved. Well, we got more for you, but don't go anywhere. Be right back. Go native with Water's locally grown selection of overachievers.
Water's hand-selected native plants and cactus are famous for continual blooms, natural beauty, and low care.
You can do this. A stunning backyard with less water and even less work. And Water's can help.
Go native with Water's selection of overachieving native plants from Water's Garden Center, 1815 Iron Springs Road in Prescott.
Shop Water's native plants in store or online at watersgardencenter.com.
You're listening to garden expert Ken Lain. He can be found throughout the week at Water's Garden Center in Prescott. Thanks for tuning in to the Top 10 Garden Show.